I'm going to walk you through the essay planning document for your midsummer essay. I want to start by first refreshing on the 3 levels of thinking. So the first level is the evidence, reading on the lines. So these are the things that you can go and point to on the text. The author actually says them. So it can be quotes, or it can be facts, details, or summary. So things that for sure the author tells you about the story. The second level is inferences, which is reading between the lines. So you're still thinking about only that one story, but you're now using the patterns that you notice to draw conclusions in the story. So you're making assumptions based on what's there in the story. And finally, level 3 is the universal meaning or theme. This is where you go beyond the lines. So you're not even on the page anymore. You're not on this one story only. Instead, you're relating the ideas in the story to a broader message that relates to the real world. So what does the text say about humanity, individuals, society, or life? In the essay, because it's a theme essay, you'll have to get to the level 3, but the way you get to level 3 is you have to prove your theme in the story, and you'll use that with evidence and inferences about the story to prove your theme in the story before you can prove it in real life. For your essay, you should have already chosen your prompt by now. I'm going to show you what to do with this box. So you've got the prompts over here. You're going to copy and paste your prompt into the document. I'll choose this one because I think this is probably the one most people are using. So copy and then come back and paste it into that box. And then it says that you have to highlight the 2 different tasks that you're asked to complete in the prompt. Almost every prompt that you're going to be given in an English class will be asking you to do 2 different things. And usually those 2 different things are going to require 2 different levels of thinking. So the first part is, the actual prompt starts here. In a well-written essay, discuss the complicated romantic relationships. And then the second part is, and how they contribute to the meaning of the work as a whole. So because the complicated romantic relationships will only be inferences you make about this play, then you're going to highlight this green. That's the pattern that you'll be talking about that you've noticed in the text. The second part, how those relationships contribute to the meaning of the work as a whole. Meaning is almost always going to be theme. So that's our universal level 3 thinking. Yesterday, you should have written a theme statement for your essay. So you'll just want to paste your theme into the box here. But to make a thesis statement, you have to have something before you just have your theme. So this is where you'll address the first part of the prompt. In your thesis, you need to make sure you're answering both parts of the prompt. Your yellow is your theme statement, so we've got that part covered. But you have to say something about the pattern that the prompt is asking you to talk about. So in this case, you'll have to say something about the complicated romantic relationships. When you're doing this part, you may want to look at the prompt for wording that you can actually use. And this doesn't have to be complicated. So a pretty simple explanation of how that topic shows up in the story. So in this case, you might want to say something like, with the 4 complicated relationships. Notice that I'm not going to type a full sentence in that box because I'm going to be putting it with the theme to make one sentence. With the 4 complicated romantic relationships in the play. And look, I've used the same wording as the prompt even. So you'll put it together with your theme down here to make a thesis statement. So you can, come up here and copy, Control-C, replace pattern with what you typed for the pattern, and then replace the word theme with your theme statement. With the 4 complicated romantic relationships in the play, Shakespeare reveals that theme. And you'll have a good, strong thesis statement. Now that you have a thesis statement, you need to plan for the rest of your essay. This one will require that you have 2 body paragraphs. So you need to figure out how can you prove that thesis with 2 separate topics, 2 separate body paragraphs. There are many different ways to separate body paragraphs to organize those. For this essay, you may want to consider focusing each paragraph on a different set of characters. So maybe you have a Hermia and Lysander paragraph, and maybe you have a Titania and Oberon paragraph. Or you can focus on the 2 different settings. So how the characters behave in court for one paragraph, and then the second could be how the characters behave out in the woods. Or you might organize by time. So you could have how the characters behave or what happens in the first half of the play for one paragraph, and then the second body paragraph could be the second half of the play. Or you can divide your ideas and your theme into 2 separate parts. So if your essay is about how love has both positive and negative aspects, then maybe you would want to have one body paragraph dealing with the positive examples of love in the play, and then another body paragraph dealing with the negative examples of love in the play. So once you've figured out how you're going to divide up those 2 different body paragraphs, go ahead and make a topic sentence. Usually these topic sentences are going to stick with level 2. So that means you're probably going to give details from the actual play or even character names from the play in your topic sentences. You can stick with thematic details in the topic sentences, but usually to help you stay organized, you're going to want to have at least some level 2 in your topic sentence. Finally, for the conclusion paragraph, so by this point, with your body paragraphs, you would have already proven that the theme is true in the play. Now you'll need to transition to proving how this theme is also relevant in real life. So planning for the conclusion, think about how can you relate your theme to the real world? How does your theme apply to real world individuals, society, and humanity? For this box, it's just ideas. So make a bullet point of 2 or 3 ways that you could talk about your theme in real life. From this point on, there is a chart for each of the 4 different paragraphs for your essay, telling you how to plan. The goal is that if you do a good job filling out these 4 paragraph planning charts, you should just be able to copy and paste what you have into an essay document and then, tweak it a little bit, and then you pretty much will have an essay already. So I've given you 1 for the introduction paragraph. You have 2 body paragraphs. These body paragraph charts should look familiar because you filled them out twice for 2 different paragraphs about Beowulf. So you'll just paste down your topic sentence here. Your 2 pieces of evidence, you must have quotes, they must be embedded, and you must cite them. And then 2 different commentary sentences for each piece of evidence. So first, how does that quote prove the green part of your thesis, the pattern? So if you're doing the complicated romantic relationships, how does that quote prove that, yes, their relationship is complicated? And then the second part would be addressing the theme. So how does that quote relate to the theme that you're proving in this essay? You'll do that whole thing for each of your 2 different topic sentences, the 2 different body paragraphs, and then you'll get planning for the conclusion. Notice that in the conclusion, it's almost all going to be yellow. So you'll transition, so wrap up your discussion of the play, which would be green, and then from that point on, it's all going to be related to the real world.